So, welcome guys to a new live. So, in this live, I'm going to show you like the basic thing of C++. So let's start. You can use like Visual Studio or CodeBlock, but I prefer CodeBlock. It's like it's more easier and more faster than Visual Studio. So let's start. So we open CodeBlock, we're gonna create a new project, a new console project, console application. We're gonna use C++. Next, let's like name it live stream and put it in document. So next, we're gonna use the GNU GSS compiler and finish. Let's start coding. So we go to source main.cpp, and if you can see that we have already hello world. The CodeBlock help us to start in C++. He write to us like the hello world. So if we start and build the compiler, that if you can see, he write hello world. So C++ is easy. We don't need this NDL. You can just use like and so we can do like this up and if we like Control C, if we copy it and paste it in Control V. So if you see, it's in another line, but if we remove this thing, if we remove the new paragraph, you can see they write in the same output, but in C++ we use the cout. Like if we want to make a little login in C++, so we just write like enter your name. It's easy, not hard. So enter your name and do not and we space, because if you didn't do the space, the thing that you're gonna write is gonna be like here. So we need to do it. We're gonna create a variable or a string, and we're gonna name it name, and like that. So if we go here, write say do the reverse of this, so like that, and write the name. We write the string that we need, its name. Boom. So now if I start the output, if I build the project, we can write our name in the output. We gonna input our name, and the output gonna give us the thing. So we're gonna write another text cout, and we're gonna write welcome space. Yes, we forgot the space, so we're gonna write the same thing like this, and name. So if we write the name in the cn function, they're gonna write it here, welcome and name, like this. And now if we start, we're gonna input our name. So outside, if we click enter, you can see that the output gives us welcome outside. We input our name, and they say welcome outside. This is the easy thing here. So if we want to do something else like math, we can do string. We're gonna remove the string and click end. And after clicking end, we're gonna get in number 1. Just gonna write number 1. The cn is number 1. So we're gonna do two numbers, number 1 and number 2. I'm gonna write number 2 here too. Number 2 here. So in here we have number 1 and number 2. We're just gonna remove this. We don't need enter your name. Like there is a lot of problem solution that give you to do this. A little algorithm. We're gonna use the if function like this. We want to do is if the number 1 is bigger than the number 2, he gonna write the number 1. But if the number 2 is bigger than the number 1, he gonna write the number 2. So if number 1 is bigger than number 2, so write cout number 1. And here I'm gonna do just else like that, and boom, cout number 2. So now if we start the compiler, we're gonna input the number 1 and we're gonna input the number 2 in the output. If the number 1, we input the number 1 bigger than number 2, he's gonna output the number 1. But if the number 2 is bigger than number 1, he's gonna output the number 2. So let's build the project. Like we're gonna run like 23 space 45. You can see that he write the number 2 because 45 is bigger than the 23. So he just write the bigger number. And now if we reset the input, we're gonna write 13 and 12. We're gonna write the 13. Why? Because number 1 is bigger than number 2. So if we use other functions, like if we want to know if the number is, he can divide the number with 2. So we're gonna use the function if we want to know if the number 1 is divided by 2. So we're gonna remove the number 2. We don't need it anymore. Just number 1. You're gonna input number 1, and we want to know if number 1 can be divided by the number 2. Can be divided by 2. If like cout like yes, cout yes. Like this. Now if the number is divided by 2, if the number 1 can be divided by 2, it's gonna cout yes. But else you're gonna see cout no. So we're gonna start the compiler. We're gonna build our project. We have a problem here. So our problem is this. If I forgot. So now you're gonna go 12. Yes, it can be divided by 12. So if we use 15, yes, all the numbers can be divided by 2. So we want that, so C out, we want the number 1, we're gonna create 2 numbers, so n and number 2, another number 2. So we want that if you write the number 1 and the number 2, we want like the number 1 plus the number 2. So what we're gonna do is like write the cout function, and we want number 1 plus number 2. So we're gonna start the project like this. We want like 2 and 3. It's 5. After we input the number 3 and the number 2, he put 5. Why? Because we tell him that if we input the number 2 and the number 1, we want him to give us the sum. Then we want him to give us number 2 plus number 1. So now if we want like minus like this, if we input the first number is like lower than the third number, you're gonna give us like a negative form, because 2 is like lower than 4 and 4 is bigger than 2. So if you wanna like this, the correct answer, we just multiply the first number with the second number. And now we want to divide. We want to divide like this, the number 1 with number 2. So we want to divide 4 by 2, and it's 2.